Market leading us out this morning, boat number 1, your progressive angler of the year, Kyle Welcher. Right behind him, the reigning Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Classic Champion, presented by Jockey Outdoors, Jeff Gustafson.
Final day of practice. Kyle, what's the goals today before game day on Friday?
The goal today is just to kind of get a vibe for where I think the fish have moved to. Not going to try to generate a ton of bites today. Just want to sample stuff enough to get a bite or two and kind of get a plan on how I want to fish the tournament, because a lot of things change this time of year, and I'm just going to give just enough time to a couple different patterns to see if I can get a bite quick, because I feel like they're moving. I feel like they're coming to how I want to catch them, and we just need to sample a little bit today.
From South Carolina, Brandon Cobb.
Kyle, first cast of morning with the buzz bait.
We're optimistic this week.
What you seeing water temp wise and decision to do that or try it?
So the water's mid-50s, and I've just seen it a lot of times where, you know, you can get some of the bigger ones to bite this thing early in the year. Now, the other 3 days of practice, I had 0 bites on it. Well, we're optimistic. This is what I want for her. Grand Lake specimen.
Where they got to be this week?
Twice that big. 14. That was where a big one was.
What's that, the ace?
Yep. With the rubber skirt though. I hand tied it, but it's an ace. Cut down real small. I knew he was a little one because the way he bit. I thought it would be a spot.
Good amount of spots in here?
Yeah, seems like it. And I don't know how big's a big one, but there's some nice ones. There's a spot. Talked it up. They are pretty though. That one needs to get out there on the bait and go feed up a little bit.
Kyle, it says 54.5 degrees. You didn't fish this spot any of the previous days of practice, but would you say this region of the lake was this same water temp, or has it dropped back a little and we expect it to come back up, you know, later in the week?
This has been about what it's been all week. If you get in more protected places, it's a little bit warmer, but this is a creek that, like the main river natural flow, can get into. And this one has been cool, and a lot of them that are set up like this have been a little bit cooler. So 54, when we put in this morning, it was 56 and a half, 57. So, but that creek we put in that's perpendicular, so it's easier for it to warm up. This one kind of runs where the main river water can get into it easy. Caught one right here in December. It's unbelievable. They're small though right now.
You said you came here in December for pre-practice for a late March classic. You know, when we had February classics here, it's similar weather, you know, as December would be, but what's the goal then? Like, we know the goal for final day of practice today, but what's the goal when you come in December? Just to check out a place, just to drive around?
Yeah, I've never seen Grand before that, so for me, it just like all my preconceived notions, if I've never seen the lake, like over half of them are wrong. But because I came here and rode around and realized how this lake sets up, because this lake's a lot shallower than I thought. A lot of the other Ozark lakes are a lot deeper, like even the bluffs on the main lake and stuff, like they're a lot shallower than I thought. So the main reason I came is just so that whenever I'm thinking and preparing for this tournament, I'm more accurate. Because I just wanted to ride around and get familiar with the lake, and then, you know, kind of know what to expect. And I also kind of practice where I thought the fish would be this time of year. So I caught some in the main winter stuff, like almost all of my caught were in wintertime patterns, but I practiced and found places where I thought would be good this time of year. He's 13 with his mouth open, so he'll be 13 in the corner.
Kyle, it's 10:22. We've basically been fishing in the same general region for 3 hours. Caught 7, 8 fish. Not many keepers. Where are you thinking?
You know, this is a pattern lake, so for me, I know I'm not going to fish in this area in the tournament at this point, but still, where you get the bites in here should help me out in the general area where I actually want to fish. So I just am trying to figure out if I can do something to generate a good bite or two in this creek so that I can know whenever I go to the main place I want to fish, kind of what stage they're in. But spent a lot more time just fishing today. I haven't done that in the past, but definitely have just covered a lot more water on the bank today than normal, and also offshore a little bit. So we're just trying to kind of dial in the pattern because that's what this is going to be. The bait is here.
Seeing some on your graph? Or
They're just flicking everywhere.
yeah.
I've seen them on the graph too, but they're flicking.
So Kyle, we left our main area 3 hours and change into the fishing day. Like you said earlier in your update, you fished a whole bunch, but now we're in totally opposite types of cover. What's the thought now moving forward?
This is just another part of the sampling thing. You know, a big chunk of the lake sets up just like the place we started, and then a small percentage of the lake sets up like where we're at now. And there's another part of the lake that sets up a little different than both of those two. So we're just kind of breaking up the day and kind of sampling all those things. You'll see how long it takes to actually generate a bite, because that's been the main problem this week. Quality's been good. It's just been really tough to generate enough bites. I feel like if you can get 8 or 9 bites doing the right thing, you have a really good bag. So we're still just kind of trying to figure out how much time I want to spend doing what, because there's a few different options this week.
So how do you balance your confidence as well on, you said it's hard to generate bites, but this morning we caught a bunch. We caught more than you probably caught before, but they're smaller. So now you got to balance the size and the quantity.
Yep. So I like to have multiple things going because it's like a boost of confidence when you change. It's like whatever I start doing, if I've got 2 or 3 things going, if that's not going perfectly, I can make an adjustment and get back focused and feel like I'm going to get bites again. So I always like to have multiple things going just because it's like a confidence boost whenever you do make that change when things are going a little bit worse. Two of them.
Little hot pocket.
Like, you see how many fish are on the screen?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's everywhere like that.
Did you cast the one at 30?
Cast the one at 45 is right above the bottom. There's 2 of them that are on the bottom. That's been the ones I've caught that are bass are usually like that. Now he's at 30.
Yeah, he's moving.
I think when I reeled my bait in, it chased it. That's what I think happened.
Swimming away.
Spotted dog. He's built too. Chunky one. Brush on that thing, but I can't get to it. It's like in the middle of the dock and it's closed off from every side. That's a keeper.
Big one?
No, not a big one.
No.
Oh, big jig, yeah.
Big jig.
That's all I got left, though.
Kyle, we got like 2.5 hours left in the day. We're pulling out of a really, really shallow pocket. A little different than the pattern you've been trying to run. You're still sampling, and now that you got 3 hours left, what's the deal?
We're gonna go and hit a couple more places that are unique around in this area, and then we're going to call a huge audible and make a big move. So I'm anticipating where we're going at the end of the day being kind of how I fish the tournament. So we're gonna go for the last hour and a half probably and do some entirely different stuff and some different watercolor.
This is a great pattern lake. Everybody says Grand Lake's a great pattern lake. How important is it to establish a pattern, but also having those random weird things that aren't a pattern, but you can be confident to go catch a 3.5 to 4 pounder on that spot or this area in 10 minutes instead of spending your whole day doing that.
Yeah. So for me, it always feels like those random good spots is where the biggest fish live. A lot of times it seems like when you get on a really good pattern, you get on a really good pattern with like a lot of cookie cutters, like 2.5 to 3.5 pounders. So you can call your shot a lot of times, but that's how you catch the 16 or 17 pounds a lot. And it seems like those random bites or the bites that are off very specific, good looking places are a lot of times your biggest fish. So in my opinion, it's very important to mix that in with your pattern because a huge chunk of the time, that's your kicker. Those are all bad. I hope they were. little bitty, probably keeper. It'd be close.
Big hybrid.
Bust this one open again.
That's the big question, Kyle. Jighead minnow scoping at Grand. Are you seeing a bunch of bait and a bunch of species mixed in, or what was the deal with that? Obviously pitch to it.
Yeah, that was I was like 99.5% sure that was not a bass. But, you know, we've been out here looking, kind of practicing, and when you see a dot, sometimes you throw at it when you ain't seen one in a while. But there's a lot of bait mixed in. There's one region where there's bait and bass mixed in. But when you get outside of that region, it seems like there's a lot of bait and catfish and white bass, stuff like that. So it's not going to be a huge player this week, but it's definitely going to play a little. Don't get no close up in there now.
Woo, son. Clear, but weird. Think a guy can win the Classic this week doing one thing, or is he going to have a little of both as he's hooked up?
I think you're going to have a bunch of different things. Lots of ways to catch them this week. If you do one thing, you have to do it in a lot of different areas. You got to run a lot of water. And the problem with that here is there's a lot of idle zones. So I think you have to catch them a lot of different ways this week to win.
Tell me about it.
Well, we just got very fortunate and caught one off rock. I ain't caught many off rock this week at all, but that's actually a really nice one. Off rock.
Minutes.
Grinding.
So you said you got 45 minutes or you got 30 minutes for one bite. Explain that to me as your practice winds down.
So it's all about how fast you can generate bites. And we've got a couple bites in the past hour in this general area. So if I get one more, I'll know that this is the best fishing water. When you get down, I think the fish may be a little bit bigger, but you got to be super, super specific on where you catch them. I think where I'm at now is better fishing water. So if things start going bad, and I think I can come up here and generate a bite every 30 or 40 minutes, you know, it's not a bad plan. So I feel like this is the best water just to kind of cover water and just fish.
Kyle, when you got a row of docks like this, how do you be efficient and not waste too much time flipping every dock slip? You just picking a high percentage spot on each dock? Is you just keep it on 100 or 80 or?
Well, it depends on the time of the year. Post-spawn, it's a lot harder because you kind of have to fish the ends and fish the backs. But pre-spawn, I'm looking for those big ones that are sitting up back up in there, because the ones typically that are suspended on the front in the pre-spawn are not active fish. The ones on the back are typically the active fish. So in the pre-spawn, I can go a lot faster. In the post-spawn, you got to get in a good area and really just pick it apart.
Kyle, did you check all the boxes you wanted to check for the final day of practice, or add some stuff to your arsenal?
Definitely added a few things, and kind of found a zone where I think I want to fish in, and then spent a lot of time fishing a deal that I would have done in the tournament and we're not going to do that now. So eliminating that, you know, high risk way to fish is a good thing. It's a positive. So we're going to fish our strengths in this one, and we're going to hunker down and fish a couple of different ways, and it's going to be, I'm glad we kind of rode off the way that I didn't really want to fish, basically.